Hello there everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about brushes, what are my most used and my favorite brushes. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel to see more of my videos. But for now, if you're interested in learning about brushes, then please keep watching. We're going to get into it right now. I feel like I must warn you guys, this is my second cup of coffee today, so if I'm all over the place, you know why. It's probably not great that I'm drinking a second cup of coffee because it's not good for my diet that I'm doing. If you guys didn't know, me and my husband are trying to do keto. I say trying because I feel like there are people out there that are really serious into keto, and even though we do a low carb diet, we're probably not as intense with it as other people. So if you didn't know, on a keto diet, you're only supposed to have 1 cup of coffee a day, but I felt like I needed an afternoon pick-me-up because I was feeling kind of sluggish, so this is my second cup of coffee. Please like this video if you are a 2 cup of coffee a day kind of person as well. So I'm gonna start off this video by talking about the difference between synthetic and animal hair brushes. You know, either one is fine. Synthetic brushes and animal hair brushes, they're both really good. It just depends on what you like and what look you're going for. Animal hair brushes tend to absorb more product than synthetic, so makeup artists tend to go more for the synthetic because you just get, you know, more longevity out of your products. But it really just depends on your personal preference. I kind of have a mixture of both, so I really don't have a personal preference as far as that. So I guess I'm gonna start off with face brushes. My first and probably most used face brush is this It Cosmetics buffing brush. And the reason why I like this brush is because it's very dense. As you can see, it is very dense, and you can tell because I put my finger on it and it barely pushes the product in or pushes my finger in there. And so the reason why I like buffing brushes is because it really helps work in the foundation into the skin, and it also minimizes the appearance of like streaks or things like that with your foundation or your concealer. And if you're really in a hurry or on a budget and you don't have a lot of time or a lot of money to spend on brushes, this is a really good face brush to have because you can use it for multiple things, right? You can use it for your foundation. I've also even used this for concealer. You can pat in your concealer, cream blush, you can apply cream blush with this. For cream products, I've never used this for powder products, so I can attest to how it would perform with that. I would imagine it's fine. I feel like it would be better for cream products because it is so dense. If you use a powder product, it might apply a ton of product onto your face because it's so dense that it holds a lot of product and disperses a lot of product onto the skin. So maybe with a powder product, it won't be that fantastic, but I use it mostly for creams and I use it for my foundation almost every single day. It's my favorite brush on the entire planet. I also like the fact that it's sort of like a dome shape. If you notice, it's kind of like is shorter on the end and then gets longer as you go to the middle. And that just helps blend out the product a little bit more because imagine like my hand is your face and this is the brush. You're pressing the product in and then the brush is on the outer end, blending it out as the middle applies, right? So it kind of like is really easy and versatile and can get your makeup done really quickly. So personally recommend this brush. It Cosmetics brushes can be a little bit pricey. I do think it's worth the price because you can use it for a lot of different things. But if you wanna wait out on a sale for it, I know that It Cosmetics has a lot of sales, especially around Black Friday and the end of the year. So if you wanna wait out on a sale, you can, but definitely think that this brush is worth it. I know that Morphe is super controversial at the moment and pretty, you know, all around since they started, they've been pretty controversial, but I have to say, I've been using Morphe brushes for a while and I have to give credit where credit is due. Their brushes are really good, you guys, and they're fairly inexpensive, so I feel like it's something that I can put to the side for what I'm getting for the product. That's not everyone's case. I understand that. If you don't want to use Morphe, then absolutely do not use Morphe. You can still, you know, I'm still gonna give you suggestions on brushes even though they're Morphe, but you can, you know, take my suggestion and take it to another brand if you want, but just throwing it out there, I am gonna mention Morphe, and sorry if you don't like it. So my second face brush that I'm gonna mention is Morphe M405 brush, and this brush is super dirty, as you can see, because I use this brush all the time, and I have it in a little bucket with other brushes, and it just kind of like touches the other ones and gets super dirty. But this is an excellent blush brush. I love that it has this sort of curve to it, so it kind of like fits really nicely on the cheekbone, especially if like you have a client that has a higher cheekbone. This just fits super nicely under the cheekbone, and you can apply blush, or if you want like a really light hand of bronzer, it also does that really well. And the brushes are not, this brush is not very dense, which I prefer for powder products like I mentioned, because it'll just evenly blend out the product. Usually if you use a more dense brush with a powder product, it'll disperse a lot of product in one area. So the fact that you have a less dense brush for a powder product just ensures that you get a really nice blend with the product as well. So I like this one a lot because of the shape, and I haven't had any issues with it. I believe I've had this one around over a year. Yeah, really good. I love this product, especially for blush. It just applies such a nice layer of blush to the skin. And I feel like you could use it for a lot of things. Also, just a quick note, you guys, if you want your brushes to last longer, you kind of want to get some brushes that have like a very long ferrule. Like this one, this part right here is the ferrule of the brush. So when you wash your brushes, if they have a longer ferrule, it'll just ensure that the water, when you wash your brushes, that the water doesn't get inside the part where the ferrule meets the handle. So just to ensure that your brushes last longer, when you wash them, make sure that the water or whatever it is that you're using doesn't go past that sort of handle ferrule line. That will just, because if water gets in here, it kind of starts messing up the glue and everything that's inside the ferrule to hold the hair together. So if you get water in there, it'll just probably have your brush shed a lot faster. So just a quick tip, if you want your brushes to last longer, don't get water there. So another brush that I use a lot, and I use a lot of Real Techniques brushes, but this one is one of my favorites from them. This is the Stippling Brush, and it's pretty old. I've had this for years. I love Real Techniques because they're fairly inexpensive as well, and they have really great quality brushes. I use this pretty often for cream products as well. I've used this for foundations, not really concealers, because I feel like it's kind of too flimsy for a concealer. I kind of want something more dense to blend out my concealer so that it doesn't move around. But I do like this for foundation. It can cause streakiness when you use a stippling brush, especially for foundation. You can get some streaks. But here's a quick tip. If you just, you know, if instead of applying your foundation like swiping with a stippling brush, you want to go like sort of like light pats. And then that will ensure that you don't get that streakiness with your foundation or any cream products. So I like to do like a patting motion, and then that helps to blend out the product. It probably is not going to be as fast as maybe a buffing brush like this, but it does give you a really nice even application, especially if you're someone that has a lot of texture. You want to make sure that you are patting product in instead of swiping, because swiping can actually increase the appearance of texture on the skin. So instead of swiping, you want to pat and blend very softly. And as you can see, I'm not holding the brush like over here where you get like a ton of pressure. You can want to hold the brush a little bit further off so that you get a really light touch to the skin. And then that way you can ensure that you have a really nice blend with your stippling brush. But definitely recommend Real Techniques brushes if you guys are in the market for brushes and you don't want Morphe. You can also look into Real Techniques. I love these brushes, and I've been following Sam and Nick for a long time, especially on YouTube. They're probably one of the first makeup artists that I watched on the platform many years ago. So I think that they have a lot of knowledge on products. So of course, typical that they would make a great brush brand. So next brush that I want to mention is a Morphe M510 brush. And I mainly use this brush for highlighter. It's very loose, very not dense at all, which is why I like it for highlighter, because you can get a really soft application to your highlighter, or if you want to go heavy with it, you can just build it up. So it's not something that applies a ton of product in one single shot. So it's really nice to apply your highlighter with, because it is also smaller. You can really precisely apply the highlight to the face. So especially if you're someone that doesn't want a ton of highlighter everywhere, especially if it's like an oily skinned client, but you want a little bit of glow, you can just precisely apply the highlighter to the areas where you'd like the glow to be. I'm just showing you how I would use it. I really like this brush. It does fray, the hairs fray a lot, and they do shed a bit, but honestly, I still like this brush a lot, and I've had it for, I believe, a year now as well. And it hasn't done me wrong. It's one of my favorite brushes for highlighting because it just evenly disperses the product. And if you want to blend the product out, you can do so as well, because it has that tapered sort of shape as well. So anything tapered will just help blend product more, which is typically what I have in my collection, because I like things to look blended, not super patchy or anything like that. So I personally like this brush a lot, and I use it super often. You can probably even use this for blusher. I don't see why not. I mean, if you want a really light application of blush, or you want to do like maybe something very creative and couture, you can like apply a blusher and then like go up the side of the temples like this with your blush, and that will create like a super couture runway kind of makeup look. That's cute. I'm getting ideas for a tutorial. So my next brush is one that I haven't been using for a long time. You guys have seen this in many of my videos, but it's the KVD number 25 brush. And the reason why I like this, and I'm mentioning in the video, even though I haven't used it for a ton of time, probably around 4 months now, but the reason why I'm mentioning is because I use it super often, because I've been really into applying a light layer of powder in certain areas where I need it. So this will just help apply the powder to wherever you feel that you want it to go, right? And it is kind of dense, so it will apply quite a bit of product. But again, the tapered shape helps to blend out whatever it applies. So even if you, let's say you apply a ton of powder right here, because it will disperse a ton of powder, you can always just dust it off with the tapered side, and it'll blend out whatever product it has just applied a ton of. So I've really been enjoying this, especially like to touch up throughout the day, because I tend to get a little bit oily, maybe like in my forehead area if I've worn my makeup for a long time throughout the day. And I just take a light layer of powder, and I will just pat it in the areas where I have some shininess, and it will just take it away without applying a ton of product to the face. So that's a really good option as well. So those are my most used face brushes. I'm gonna move on to eye brushes at the moment. I'm gonna start off with a larger blending brush. This one is Morphe M441, and I use this very often with my eyeshadow because it is a larger blending brush. It just fits really nicely in the crease of your eye, and it just helps blend out the eyeshadow super evenly. And also under your eyes, if you want to smoke out a look, it just fits perfectly. It's not the softest brush. It is soft, like it's not terrible, but these brushes are really inexpensive, so I actually find that they work really well for the price. I haven't had any issues with this. I've had this for over a year also, and this one has lasted me a super long time. Dare I say comparable to MAC brushes that I've had in the past. Dare I say it, I'm just throwing it out there into the universe, but I feel like MAC brushes are comparable and way more expensive. I have tried MAC brushes and I've tried Morphe brushes, and Morphe is way inexpensive and MAC is super luxe. Obviously, MAC brushes are amazing, but I feel like if you're a more normal person that doesn't use a ton of brushes in your life, like a makeup artist does, then you would like to try out some Morphe ones that are inexpensive, loose, and not very dense. It'll give you a really nice blend to your eyeshadow. I've also even used this to do like a nose contour. Because it's a blending brush, it will just ensure that the product is blended super nicely on your nose contour. So really great for anything. You don't really have to use brushes for what they say they are. You know, some brushes say crease brush, blending brush, or lip brush. You don't really have to use the brush for what it says it's for. You can use it for whatever you want. As long as it works for you and gets you the result that you want, just do it. So next brush I want to mention is a Sigma Pencil E30 brush. And I would think a pencil brush is really important in your collection because it is so precise that you can really do a lot with it. If you want to do your inner corner, you can. If you want to precisely highlight the face, you can do so as well. You guys have seen me use this a ton. Also, if you want to do like some outer corner work, but you want it to be very precise, a pencil brush is really useful for that because you can get really close and apply product really precisely to wherever you'd like. Now, a pencil brush is usually very dense, like this one is quite a bit dense. So I wouldn't really recommend that you use this like to blend out a ton of product unless it's like a small area like maybe your under eyes. Just because it's not going to be fun, it's not going to help blend it, and you might get a slight irritation to your eye because it tends to be more dense and kind of shorter bristles. So not something that I would typically recommend you do to blend out your eyeshadow. But I do think a pencil brush can be very useful for a lot of other things for applying color in very precise areas of the face. Okay, so next brush I want to mention is very dirty because I use it very often. It's a Morphe M433 brush, and this is a more closely packed blending brush. Like if I show you the other one, you can see the difference. This one is longer, wider, more fluffy. This one is still a blending brush, but it's more compact. So it'll help to blend out product really well, and it sort of has like a flat edge on both sides and then it's tapered on the top because it's meant for you to be able to use it for different areas of the eye. So you can use the longer tapered end of the brush to blend out in the crease, but you can also use the flatter sides to apply color or to pat in color on the eye. So it's really nice to have because you can do a lot with it as well. As far as blending out your eyeshadow and applying eyeshadow, you can do a lot with it. I've used it for both. I've used it for blending out my eyeshadow and for applying color. If you want a light wash of color on the lid, it works really well for both. Last brush I want to mention is a brush that I've had for a while. This is actually from MUA or Makeup Academy, I believe it is. And I bought this at CVS, really cheap. And honestly, really worth it. Because it's a really tight angled brush and I feel like it's perfect for eyeliner. Like, it is absolutely amazing at applying liner because it is so tightly packed. It applies a very small, thin line of eyeliner to the eye. But if you want to build it up, you can, and you can make your eyeliner thicker or as thin as you'd like it to. And because it has that angle, it also is really great for creating an winged liner. Because it already has the angle for you, it's really easy to just drag across the eye and create that angle for your wing liner. Also, if you want to use this like under your eyes for very precise eyeshadow application, I've done that as well. Really great. I don't typically like this kind of brush for my eyebrows because my eyebrows personally are thicker, so are pretty naturally thick. So I don't like to use too small of a brush or too tightly packed of a brush because it'll just take me forever to do my brows. So, but if you have maybe thinner brows that are not as thick, or if you know, got a little too pluck happy in the 8th grade and your brows are thin, then this would probably work for you to do your eyebrows too. Why not? Alright, so we have reached the end of this video. Sorry if I rambled on, you guys. Again, second cup of coffee today. We don't know how we react when we're on our second cup of coffee. Apparently I react like this. But yeah, make sure to do all of the YouTube things that I mentioned before. I will link all the products mentioned down in the description box below. Make sure you check it out and read it. Some links may be affiliate links from which I earn a small commission off your purchase. You don't have to use them, they're just there in case you want to. It helps support me and my small channel. So yeah, that's all that we have for today. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!